Hello everybody, I'm God the Good One. So I've got myself a cold. Don't worry about it, I have tested myself and guess what it is? I've got a cold. And the good thing about when you get a cold is you can treat it, and you can treat it with medicines, or you can treat it with something you can just buy off the counter. And I'm treating mine with a well-known remedy, which is Lockets. You put them in your mouth and they've got a bit of honey in them, and it sort of soothes your throat if you've got a sore throat, which I have, and that's why I bought them, to treat my common cold. Now obviously I'm having a little bit of a dig at something that's going on in the world today. However, do not think that I do not believe that coronavirus is real. I know it's real because I've had it, and I didn't get the chest problems. I got loads of mental problems, and it lasted for 3 months. So believe me, I know it's a real thing. So you might hear me sniffling a little bit. That is a cold, which I've got. Now, right at the beginning of the virus, I was playing rock gigs, because I am a rock star, you see. So we'd had a lot of gigs, and we played the very last night before lockdown, when people were terrified, and actually people didn't come to the gig who bought tickets, which never happens. If you paid for tickets, you are going to that gig. And I remember looking out over the crowd and thinking, there's some empty spots at this gig. And we had a big party. And thankfully on that night, nobody actually caught coronavirus or reported that they got coronavirus from there. And coronavirus then went on to get bigger and bigger, and more people caught it, and more people were in hospital. And that was a result of people being too close to each other, which is exactly what the government say. Keep your distance, which they don't tell you now. Wash your hands, which they're not really promoting now. And then later down the line, they were rushing out to get a vaccine, which is what I'd like to talk to you about today. And I'm not going to say don't get a vaccine, because if you feel that you need a vaccine and you want a vaccine, then go get it. If you want to go on holiday, go get yourself a vaccine, because you're probably not going to be able to travel. I personally, my views are personal to me, and whether I've got a vaccine or I haven't got a vaccine, some of you know, but that's entirely up to me. But what I will like to say is the things that nobody is telling you, which is a few things that that the government really are not telling you, and nobody looks into. And if you've got a vaccine, you probably don't really want to hear it, and if you haven't got a vaccine, then you probably think you're smug and you're correct. But I will say that I in 2020 I wasn't rushing out to get a vaccine, and the pressure from people who had vaccines at the back end of that year, and the pressure of people who got vaccines people who got vaccines in 2021 towards people who don't have vaccines is really, really big. And just recently, in the last couple of months, what I found is that the people who got vaccines, and a lot of them are now, not all of them, but a lot of them now are saying that they've been lied to, and a lot of them are saying that they don't like the pressure of people who haven't got vaccines telling them that they were stupid. The wind of change has arrived, and people are now reading about footballers having heart attacks, may or may not be related to vaccines, and certainly the government and the NHS are not going to come out and tell you that vaccines are giving some people heart attacks. They're not going to tell you that, but it is evident that as time's gone on, more and more top athletes are having heart problems. and I'm not going to say it is related to the vaccine because I don't know, but that is one of the theories. But what I would like to show you is some charts that came out from the Scottish and the English government last week. And now you can take these charts with a pinch of salt if you want, but these are actual factual charts that came from your governments. And you can accept it, or you can look at it, or naively you can say that whether you're from the vaccinated or non-vaccinated, that whatever you did is right. But it is naive of you not to look at it and take on board what has actually come out. Because if you're one, especially one of these outspoken people who have got vaccine or haven't got vaccines, a lot of the time you've been waffling shit about things you don't know. So this is actual facts that have come from your governments in Scotland and in England. Now, I will say that I genuinely do not care whether you've got a vaccine or you haven't got a vaccine. And I will mingle with them people exactly the same, and I am doing right now, mingling with vaccinated and unvaccinated people, because you spread it exactly the same, both of you. You need to stop arguing because you're like little girls. You spread it exactly the same, you contract it exactly the same, and the vaccinated people are saying, well, I've been vaccinated and I got it, but I didn't end up in hospital, and I would have done if I didn't get vaccinated. Well, when I contracted it, I wasn't vaccinated, and I didn't end up in hospital. And one of my friends was vaccinated, and he did end up in hospital. There is no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, but it is your personal choice. It is down to you whether you want to be vaccinated or you don't want to be vaccinated. But because you're not being nice to people, okay? You're winding each other up, and it is a personal choice. My personal opinion is it makes no difference. Amen. So here's your chart. So you can see that 31% of all people in England are not vaccinated. 38% of cases in England are people who have not been vaccinated, which is slightly higher. 35% of all cases in hospital are unvaccinated people. But then if you take a look at people who have died from coronavirus recently, 19.5% of those people were unvaccinated, which seems very strange and seems like a lot of people have been vaccinated and died. Now, maybe there's some sort of reason for that, and if you know what that reason is, then obviously let me know underneath, because I don't know what the reason is. And here is the chart in Scotland, which pretty much runs parallel with the same chart that we have down here in England, with 14.7% unvaccinated that have died out of the total of people that have died in this period. I thought that I better say what a massive hypocrite Boris Johnson and your MPs are in Parliament, as they try and enforce rules on you that they don't do themselves. Now I'm going to get on with taking my Lockets, which is a proven cure for the cold. I don't think it actually helps. I think it just makes your throat a little bit better. But I've used them all my life, so I trust them. And I'm going to take my Lockets and I'm going to wash it down with Diet Coke. That means I can have honey and whatever other shite that goes into this with something that strips the lining off my stomach, but tastes nice, and will wash this down, but also won't make me fat, which is obviously good for you not being fat, because the more of you there is, or the more volume and space you're taking up, the more of your body there is to go wrong. See, I'm not even a doctor, and I made that up. I just made that up off the top of my head. I probably should be some sort of advisor to doctors or scientists, but saying that, scientists are obviously working, but doctors are all playing golf at the minute, so I don't know where. I'd have to go to a golf course to find somebody to tell them. See there. If you haven't subscribed to God, you're a knobhead.